In the late 1940s, aviation was entering its speed overdose phase. Every designer was obsessed with swept wings and breaking the sound barrier, but they were ignoring a massive systemic vulnerability: the night. In the dark, the fastest jet in the world was essentially a blind projectile. To fix this, Douglas Aircraft didn't build a better engine, they built a flying sensor hub. The Douglas F3D Skyknight was a wide-bodied, unglamorous chunk of steel designed for one purpose: to host the AN/APQ-35 radar system. This wasn't just a piece of equipment, it was a wall hack for the stratosphere, a multi-layered radar suite that allowed the crew to see the invisible enemy through miles of pitch-black sky and heavy cloud cover. The hardware architecture of the Skyknight was dictated entirely by this radar. Because the electronics of 1950 used vacuum tubes, massive, hot, and fragile components, the nose of the plane had to be enormous. The AN/APQ-35 wasn't just one radar, it was a triple-threat exploit. It consisted of a search radar to find the enemy at long range, a tracking radar to lock on to the specific target, and a tail warning radar to ensure no one was sneaking up on the Stalker. This created a God view glitch, where the Skyknight pilot and his radar operator, RO, could sit side by side, a unique dual-core cockpit layout, and coordinate a kill without ever looking out the windshield. This sensory patch changed the rules of engagement. While other pilots were straining their eyes against the darkness, the Skyknight crew was looking at a CRT screen, watching the enemy's data packet move across the grid. The radar was so powerful for its time that it could track a target from 20 miles away, a distance where the enemy was nothing more than a ghost in the wind. This gave the Skyknight an initiative hack, the ability to choose when and where the fight started. By the time the enemy pilot heard the roar of the Skyknight's Westinghouse J-34 engines, the wall hack had already calculated the lead pursuit curve for the four 20mm cannons mounted in the belly. The Skyknight was a legacy system in terms of airframe, but its source code was the future. It proved that in the evolution of air combat, the detection glitch was more lethal than the speed exploit. If you can see the enemy and they can't see you, speed is irrelevant. You aren't just a pilot anymore. You are a system administrator of the sky, deleting targets from the server of reality before they even realize the game has started. By 1952, the air war over Korea was a battle of two extremes. During the day, the swept-wing MiG-15 reigned supreme, utilizing its superior thrust-to-weight ratio and climb rate to dominate UN forces. But when the sun went down, the advantage shifted to the Douglas F3D Skyknight. Unlike the MiG, which was designed for high-speed daylight interception, the F3D was a specialized platform built specifically for the high-workload environment of nocturnal combat. The F3D was not a dogfighter in the traditional sense. It was a coordinated weapons system. While the MiG-15 pilots struggled with limited visibility and primitive ground-controlled interception, the Skyknight utilized its AN/APQ-35 radar suite to operate independently in the dark. On the night of November 2, 1952, Major William Stratton and Master Sergeant Hans Hogewaning demonstrated the lethality of this mechanical integration. Instead of a frantic visual search, the radar operator, RO, used the search and track radar to vector the pilot toward an enemy Yak-15. This was the first jet versus jet night kill in history. It wasn't a glitch in the enemy's plan, it was a demonstration of superior situational awareness. The Skyknight's side-by-side seating was a deliberate design choice to facilitate instant communication between the pilot and the RO, effectively doubling the crew's processing capacity during the critical seconds of a radar-locked intercept. The F3D was significantly slower than the MiG, but speed proved irrelevant in the pitch-black sky. The Skyknight ended the conflict with more night fighter kills than any other aircraft, maintaining a perfect record with 0 losses to enemy fighters during these missions. It proved that a stable, radar-equipped platform, even one with straight wings and modest engines, could effectively neutralize a faster opponent by controlling the engagement from the shadows. The success of the Skyknight in Korea wasn't due to luck, it was due to the calculated application of airborne radar technology at a time when the rest of the world was still flying blind. By the early 1960s, the Douglas F3D Skyknight, now designated the F-10, was considered an aging airframe. Its straight wings and subsonic speed made it a relic in an era of Mach 2 fighters like the F-4 Phantom. However, the Marine Corps realized that the Skyknight's spacious fuselage, originally designed to house massive vacuum tube radar sets, made it the perfect candidate for a new critical mission, electronic countermeasures, or ECM. While other fighters were being retired, the Skyknight was refitted as the EF-10B. This version traded its 4 20mm cannons for a suite of sophisticated jamming equipment and signal receivers. In 1965, during the early stages of the Vietnam War, the EF-10B became the first tactical jet to conduct electronic warfare missions. Its new objective was not to shoot down planes, but to blind the North Vietnamese surface-to-air missile sites. The mechanical brilliance of the EF-10B lay in its ability to detect the specific frequencies of the Soviet-designed fan-song radar systems used by SA-2 missile batteries. Once a signal was detected, the Skyknight would flood that frequency with electronic noise, obscuring the American strike packages on the enemy's radar screens. This was a dangerous, high-stakes game of cat and mouse. The Skyknight crews had to fly ahead of the bombers, intentionally placing themselves in the path of the enemy's radar to act as an electronic shield. On April 29, 1965, the EF-10B achieved another historical milestone by providing the electronic cover for the first ever strike against a SAM site. Despite being the oldest jet in the theater, the Skyknight remained indispensable until 1969. It was eventually replaced by the EA-6A Intruder, but the tactical foundation it established remains the blueprint for modern electronic warfare. The legacy of the Douglas F3D Skyknight is not of raw speed or maneuverability, but of technical adaptability. It began its life as a radar-guided hunter in the darkness of Korea and ended it as an electronic guardian over the jungles of Vietnam. It proved that a well-engineered airframe focused on sensory and electronic superiority could remain a dominant force on the battlefield long after its contemporaries had been relegated to museums.